it all. Oh, oh, oh.
I can't stop it, oh, I can't stop it, oh, I can't leave it, oh, I can't leave it, oh, rock go shot in my life. I can't stop it, oh, if I sit down, they do nothing. I can't leave it, oh, I don't go wait until they want me. I don't go wait until it buy me. I cannot put I make you drop soon to me. Even though something must to kill a man. I cannot put I like I'm killing me. I go stand up, I go look for professional help.
I am tired already. My head deep on and I don't get it. I know one's got water, I go fight it. Colorado, Arizona, I can't leave it. As you see me so trauma, download in my pocket. It is killing me so and I know one kicky bucket. Just the other day, me got to socket. Now we think kill more trauma with in my pocket. My brother forget to drugs go shut in your life. Fight it, no they sit down, they do nothing. I cannot. I go stand up and go for professional help.
Drugs, can you get some what?
Yeah, a very warm welcome to everyone space. And for those just joining us, good afternoon to all of you across Nigeria and Africa. Good morning and good evening to those joining us from other parts of the world, beyond in Europe, America, Asia, Middle East. Wherever you are joining us from, this is NDLA's Open Forum on X Space. This time last week we were calling it Twitter Space, but courtesy of Elon Musk, today we have changed that to X Space because the app where we are transmitting or having this conversation, where we update you about all the activities of the NDLA, especially what we're doing to curb the menace of substance abuse and illicit drug trafficking, as well as getting your feedback so that we can what we conversation as we already know. This is just recorded and is on our other social handles at NDLA_Nigeria on Instagram and YouTube. You can always go back and listen to the recording and even share with others. Now we are gradually heading to another interesting conversation today, and but then before I invite our guest, who is already well seated on the speaker's table, before we invite her to make her presentation, let's quickly remind us of some of the activities this past week in our news highlights segment. That is the segment where we update you about the activities of the agency in the area of drug supply reduction, as well as in the area of drug demand reduction and other things that we do to curb the menace in our country. Now we have our regular Blessing Tafa, who has been handling this particular segment. Blessing, let's take some time to listen to you.
Thank you, sir. Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this week's.
Blessing, you can go ahead with the updates now.
I'm here at the NDLEA news highlights for the week. NDLEA arrests artist. Can you hear me, sir?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm hearing you guys from the other end, because I'm not hearing Blessing. And from what I'm seeing on my system, it seems you are struggling with your network. Mahmoud and Dele. some of the rules guiding our process of engagement of this program today. As we are already familiar with some of these, when we approve you to be on the speaker's corner, please ensure you remain muted until our guest presentation, which shall start any moment from now until she completes her presentation, and then we invite individuals to unmute themselves to ask questions and make contributions in few seconds. We do not, we do not encourage unauthorized interruption. And on this platform, we don't discuss politics. So let's avoid anything that would redirect us to what is not our focus or our subject of discussion, please. Let's all remain guided so that we can all enjoy and benefit from the conversation today. Thanks for your usual cooperation, and I know that today will not be an exception. Now, like as we always have it, this is going to be an interactive session. It's going to be as interactive as possible. We want to respond to your questions. We want to take your contributions on today's subject of discussion. So please let's enjoy the conversation on today's subject of discussion. This is all part of our commitment to engage with all our stakeholders. But before we introduce our guests, let's call is a toll-free one. The helpline is a toll-free one. That is 0800 1020 3040. I repeat it. 0800, that's our toll-free helpline. 0800 1020 3040. You can call this line at any time from any part of the country. We also assure you that it's language friendly. You have days of the week that you have the opportunity of speaking to our experts in some of the major languages. That is, apart from English, Pidgin, you can also speak to our experts, our counselors, our psychologists in Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba. So that is an advantage there. Beyond that, again, you can rest assured that your conversation is very private. The information you are giving is treated with utmost confidentiality. There is no leakage of your information or your identity anywhere. So please let's feel free to scared of going out to rehab centers, to treatment centers to seek help. This is a platform to bridge that gap, so you have no reason to be scared or be afraid of being judged or being stigmatized. Now, let's formally introduce our guest today. Is actually someone that also has something to do with the call center. Dr. Dayaba Shoaibu is a mental health physician, an internationally certified addiction professional, and a sleep specialist. That's interesting. Sleep specialists. That's an area I think is something I'm interested in. I probably one day have a private conversation with Dr. Shabu on this. Well, she's popularly called Dr. D. Okay, now she also provides, like I said before, services at the NDLA Call Center. She's a member of the American Academy of Sleep Medicine and the British Sleep Society. Interesting. This is one aspect of medicine that I'm not really familiar with. Just getting to know that. Okay. Now, Dr. G is a well-motivated mental health advocate with interest in human behavior, addiction, psychiatry, sleep medicine, wellness, and lifestyle. She strives to normalize conversations around mental health with a view to seeing that her patients become the best version of themselves. It is my pleasure to welcome and invite Dr. Dayaba Shaibu to unmute herself, and then the next 30 to 40 minutes we will be listening to her make a presentation on the topic of discussion today, that is the Allure of Colorado, its devastating effect. Quite a number of times you see videos of a lot of our young people falling into gutters, doing all manner of things after they have taken this particular variant or strain of cannabis, and it's something that has been on our table for some time. Today we just hit the right chord, and that's why we're bringing it into focus to discuss, and we'll be having contributions from other experts. But first, let's take the presentation by Dr. Dayaba Shaibu, popularly called Dr. D. Thank you, Doc. Please unmute yourself and let's enjoy your presentation. Thereafter, we would be taking time to interrogate your presentation while we allow those on the platform to ask questions. We have quite a number of participants across the world on X space here, that is Twitter, as well as on our other platforms where we're streaming this conversation live. That's our Facebook, our YouTube, and our Instagram. Please go ahead, Doc.
Okay, thank you so much.
Go ahead, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Can everyone hear me?
We're hearing loud and clear. Loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on what part of the world you're not giving from. Thank you so much, NDLA, for having me speak on this very important topic. And I want this to be as interactive as possible, just like you said. But before we go into the discussions, I will give us an overview of the topic of the day, which is Colorado, popularly known as Colos. Right? We're having this conversation today because it's something that is, for lack of a better word, a problem which is beginning to affect, the nation in epidemic proportions. So first of all, what is this Colorado? A lot of us might have heard the name. Some of us might be hearing it for the first time. Some of us might have been affected by it in one way or the other, either because we have a relative, a loved one, a neighbor, a friend, a work colleague, a classmate, whatever it is, that has had a stint with this substance. So first of all, what is Colorado? Some of us might say that we just hear that it's synthetic cannabis. And not to digress, we know what the conversation is around cannabis. Some will tell you it's a herb, it's something that is helpful, it has its benefits, it has its downside. But for the purpose of the conversation today, it's not about the benefits or otherwise of cannabis.
I was the head boy in my
Colorado is a synthetic cannabinoid, so I want us to note the difference between the two. So we know cannabis is a plant, it is a weed that is naturally occurring. The active ingredient in cannabis, which is the plant, is the cannabinoid, the tetrahydrocannabinoid, isn't it? That's what gives the feeling of high that comes with taking cannabis. With Colorado, it is not naturally occurring. It is synthetic. What does it mean? It was created in the labs. So it's a mixture of a lot of things. And why do they compare it to cannabis? It's because both the synthetic one and the naturally occurring one act on the same center of the brain, which is the cannabinoid receptors of the brain. So that is where the comparison comes from. There's receptors in the brain, several receptors, that are responsible for several feelings or several activities in our body. So Colorado is a man-made, compound that acts on that same receptor on the brain. We will also want to ask, okay, why do we have the cannabinoid receptors in the first place? Why do we even have them? So the receptors, that were created by the Almighty, to help us function as human beings. And they were not created to make us get high. The receptors, don't exist so that people can smoke marijuana and get high, right? So they were created. What's their role? They regulate appetite. That's those receptors in the brain. They regulate appetite. They regulate the feeling of nausea. They regulate our mood. They help us modulate pain, and inflammation. So that's the essence of those receptors. So any chemical that acts on those receptors alter these processes in the body, right? So how did the Colorado, the synthetic cannabinoids come about in the first place? How did we even, come across it? Where did it start from? So I'm just giving a bit of historic background. There's a retired researcher who wanted to test the effect of those, things on labs to see how it affects the cannabinoid receptors. And he tested them on animals to say, okay, if we had something that was artificial, will it have the same effect on these receptors, just to test the efficiency of those receptors, right? And the same researcher, when he tested it, he actually mentioned at that time, he said, these synthetic compounds actually stimulates the receptors in the same way or in a similar way that the natural one, stimulates the receptors. And he also mentioned, and he said those compounds, that's the man-made ones, are never, and I repeat, are never meant for human consumption. To quote him, this researcher's name, is Hoffman, John Hoffman, and he mentioned, to quote him, quote unquote, he said, only idiots would use these synthetic drugs to get high. He said those compounds are dangerous. Anyone who uses them is like playing Russian roulette. So it's like gambling with their life. Okay? And he says that these substances, if consumed by human beings, can actually kill. So that's, a bit of background about Colorado. So they're never meant for human consumption. So what are these things? What's peculiar about the Colorado, the synthetic cannabinoids? So it's a mixture of a lot of things, made up of heavy metals, different kind of chemicals that actually affect the human system and can lead to a shutdown of the human system. So their major constituents are chemicals that are categorized as Schedule 1 drugs. So I will explain what Schedule 1 drugs are. So Schedule 1 drugs are drugs that are not meant, for consumption. They're drugs they're chemicals that do not have any form of therapeutic effects. Okay, so like what? We're talking of LSD, we're talking of amphetamines, we're talking of those very high stimulants and very addictive, narcotics. So they're Schedule 1 drugs. So a lot of the chemical constituents of Colorado are these Schedule 1 drugs. So this also emphasizes the fact that Colorado is not meant for human consumption. What are the effects of Colorado? First of all, here we've seen quite a lot of videos, around of, people behaving, like, for I think the best way to describe it is the human zombie. People that have no idea where they are, they're like a trance-like state. They're walking, they're almost catatonic. When we say someone is catatonic, so they're assuming a very funny posture for a long duration of time. So what are the common effects of Colorado? You have nausea, you have vomiting, you have hallucinations, people assuming catatonic postures, not knowing where they are, shouting in pain, and rolling on the floor sometimes, and reflexively you just see people pouring water on them because they're just trying to get them to come back to reality. And in severe cases, it leads to seizures, that's convulsions, and even death. Quite a number of deaths have been reported, in relation to Colorado use. what's the difference? If we look at it, if we try to compare it to the naturally occurring cannabis, you hardly ever hear of anyone overdosing on cannabis. That's the Indian hemp. But with synthetic cannabinoids, that's the Colorado, because of the toxic effect it has, it actually leads to death. So overdoses are very high because of the chemical constituents. All right, so pretty much this is what Colorado is all about. And you hear several names. It's called the Black Mamba. So even from the street names, these are some of the street names that we hear, that Colorado is called by. You hear K2, you hear Colos, you hear Black Mamba. And if you can think of the snake, the Black Mamba snake, we have an idea of how deadly it is. So for something to be given that nickname of Black Mamba, we can only imagine how deadly, how toxic, it is. So there's a brief overview of what Colorado is. Why is Colorado a huge problem? Excuse me. Why is this a big problem? Why are we even having a conversation, around Colorado? Why is it difficult for us, to manage it or to track it down? So Colorado belongs to a group of substances called designer drugs or new psychoactive substances. What does this mean? If they call something a designer drug or a new psychoactive substance, it's because it does not have a clear description of, this is what it contains. So it contains a lot of things, and if you have two separate packages of Colorado that probably have the same label, if you were to subject them through a laboratory analysis, you're likely to find out that the two components, the two substances that you have, both called Colorado, might not necessarily contain the exact same, chemical constituents. So they are new every day. The person who's producing drug A, also called Colorado, and the person producing drug B, also calling it Colorado, might actually mix different things. So it's difficult to track, because one day someone just wakes up and decides, I want to make my own more potent just so that I will sell more, and then adds another, more potent chemical in it. Being oblivious of the fact that thing you're adding to enhance the high is further harming the end users of those substances. So it's difficult to track. And a lot of these chemicals that are added can be basic household, chemicals, things that are found in like cleaning agents, in things you use to disinfect, in, substances that are not naturally made for human consumption, but they add them in these things just to potentiate the high. So it's difficult because sometimes these things are packaged in packages that are labeled as items that are not meant for human consumption. So what do I mean? I may want to sell Colorado, for example, and then I package it and name it, say, a cleaning agent. Whereas my target market already know that this item that I'm calling D, for example, is actually Colorado. But for the enforcers, for the people who are enforcing, you see it as a cleaning agent. So on what basis am I going to say, okay, I want to pick this thing and subject it to a lab analysis because it's not meant for human consumption, so I shouldn't be worried on a normal day. But people who use it know that they're going to use it to get high. So it's difficult, and then it's difficult for the constituents to be banned from use because they have their original use for other activities and not consumption. So how many of those chemical agents are we actually going to ban, for human use as well? Because humans use those things not to consume them, but to probably use for cleaning, for disinfection, for sterilization. So they are approved for those activities, but not for human consumption. So that is why Colorado is a huge problem, because every day the chemical constituent is changing and is not the same, is not consistent, is not constant, because people keep changing, keep adding and reducing, keep modifying, just to appeal to their target market. So in summary, this is what Colorado is. So it's still, after all is all said and done, it doesn't change the fact that Colorado is a highly addictive substance made up of a lot of things, in it. So if there is someone who is using Colorado, chances of addiction is very high because of the potency of the constituents. And what do they do? Of course, it starts to affect their life in one way or the other. It starts to affect their productivity. It starts to affect their relationship with loved ones. They start to spend more time trying to procure it, use it, and recover from its effects. So most of their time is spent around the use of that substance. So it doesn't change the fact that they will still need treatment, albeit being difficult, albeit being difficult, but what they still need ultimately is treatment. So this is in summary, what Colorado is. And I think I will leave the rest of the discussion for when questions come up, so we'll continue to expand. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much, Dr. D. That's a brilliant one, precise and giving the right information that will benefit quite a lot of us on this space. I appreciate you for that. I'm sure we're going to be expanding the conversation pretty soon with those already well seated to take on to dissect your presentation, and those that already saw a number of questions in our DM. But first, let me recognize those some of those already on the space. We may not be able to mention everybody, but just let me just glad there are quite some that are regular. I have seen Perpetua Anandi Emmanuel. Perpetua, thank you for coming around. I've also seen our own Deji Sogon, that is popularly called Uncle Deji. I've seen John Ogunjimi, another regular. Thank you, John. I've also seen TJ Atongawaji. I have also seen one of the media regular, Pamela Ephraim. I have seen Henry Miracle Ebube. I have seen Dr. Akinwale Ola Akinlade. I have also seen a senior officer of the agency, Para Bawa. I have seen Abiola Buremon. Thank you for coming around. Asma Ahmad, another regular. I have also seen Santi Nima. I have seen David Aruna, Dr. Forever, Okori Ode, and another social media guru there, Ken Ken, that's popularly called Ken Patriots. Ken Patriots, thank you everyone for being joining us on this conversation today. So we'll quickly open the conversation now for those who may want to interrogate the presentation by Dr. D. Please request the mic. For those we have already approved, one after the other, we will give you the opportunity so that you can ask your question or make your contributions. But let's be very conscious of time so that we can give the opportunity to as many as possible. That is why we're making our contribution, our presentation. Let's be conscious of time so that the mic can go around very pretty. And I think the first person I approved to be on that space today, so she'll most likely have the first shot, and that is our own regular Perpetua Nandi Man. Perpetua, let's take your contribution as the first.
Okay, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And thank you so much, ma'am, for that lecture because it's an impactful one. Please, I have a question to ask, but if time will permit me, I still want to contribute. Can you hear me? Sorry.
We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Please, my question is, what ongoing research or surveillance efforts are being conducted in Colorado to a better understanding the long-term health effect of synthetic cannabis on young people and inform targeted interventions? You know, on this case has been an ongoing case, and I remember when Dr. Kemi was discussing it, that people have given it a name, Colos and K2, and what you mentioned during your lecture. You know, young ones have really dive into different things that still ones that we don't even know the name, but it's really ongoing among in their midst. And thank you so much for opening our eyes to see these things and giving your own time to really give us this lecture. Is an expensive one. It's an opportunity that we don't take for granted. Thank you so much. I really want to have an answer towards this. And if time will permit me more, I want to contribute on this. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, Patricia. We'll definitely, hopefully, we'll definitely have to get you back to make your contribution. But let's take Dr. D's response to this first. Then we'll go to others already raising their hand.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Song. Thank you, Kevin. So when we talk about ongoing research, right? So the question is, what are we trying to find out? Do you need to know what the constituents of Colos is? You know. So again, like I mentioned during my presentation, all around the world, any sort of compound that is called a designer drug or a new psychoactive substance is difficult, it's a research difficulty because it keeps changing. So if you find the substance today and you try to analyze it to find what the constituent is, and you say, okay, we've done the chemical analysis and it contains chemical A, B, C, D, and you move it, say, to the policy makers to say, so what do we do? These are the constituents of Colos that we found. So do we ban to make the conversation, difficult and easy and clear, let's just say, okay, I find a bottle of Colos and I send it to the research department of either NAFDAC, that do the analysis, and I find out that it's made of sugar, salt, pepper, for example, and we say, okay, so these are the constituents of Colos. So what do we do? Do we ban sugar, salt, and pepper from the market? So let's assume that, okay, we agree that we ban them. The very next batch of Colos you're going to find might not necessarily contain sugar, salt, pepper. That's why it's a designer drug. It's made of several compounds. They are found in everyday household use, and it keeps changing. So it's difficult, unlike things like cocaine, that that it occurs, it's from the plant. If it is Indian hemp, it's from a plant, and that is what it is consistently, it remains so. So it's a research difficulty, but again, in medicine, in science, you never say never. So you just keep trying, but something that is a designer drug is difficult to say we're able to analyze, So there are a lot of things that So even if you find what is in the market, you may find. So the researchers may be able to find to say, okay, consistently we found one particular chemical that is constant in all. So I wouldn't be able to say how much research is going on, but I'm just saying from the scientific point of view, is a research difficulty. Right? I don't know if that helps.
Absolutely, Dr. D, I think your point is well made, and I'm also familiar with what you are saying, because I know a number of times when NPS, that's the new psychoactive substance, like squishes, the number of times when some of them are seized by operatives of the agency, you will see some squishes that will contain cannabis, codeine, tramadol, and black currant, that is sobo. In another one, you will see the same squishes containing other opioids. Even sometimes you find with them rofinol. Even in some cases you have some. In another case, I think we made seizures of this new one also Apuscura, where we find in some you find cannabis in it, in others we find cocaine in it. So you can never really pin them down to a particular substance. That this contains only these two ingredients or what have you. But then more often than not, you have they vary from time to time and from one seizure to the other. Thank you, Dr. D. There. I think Perpetua will definitely have gotten a good understanding of what you're saying. Okay, let's hear from David Aruna. David Aruna, please unmute yourself and let's get your question or contribution. David Aruna, if David Aruna is not ready, I'll move to the next person, and that let me call on EO. Okay, David Aruna, are you ready? Please be quiet, please. Okay, go ahead, David Aruna. Okay, David Aruna seems to be having issues with his network. Okay, EO Shajumba, can you go ahead? EO at Shajumba, can you go ahead? Okay, if Shajumba is not ready, let's go to the next person. I guess you guys are having problem with your network. Stevie Daniel. Before your body go expire. Stevie Daniel, okay. Let me quickly seize this opportunity to attend to those in our GM quickly. Okay, Dr. D, we have IK is asking what Dr. Dayaba, please can you explain to us, is the cannabis strain called loud the same as Colos, or are they two different things? What is the difference? Thank you. Okay, Dr. D, you have that. I'll still come to our DM.
Okay, sure.
You can go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay, yeah. So Colos and loud are two different things. Loud is a strain, is a species of the naturally occurring cannabis, that's the cannabis plant. So loud is a plant, Colos is synthetic, is man-made. So I think that's they're not the same.
I was the head boy in my primary school, senior prefect and best graduating student in my secondary school, but drug abuse almost ruined my life.
I was on an average of...
Okay, thank you there, Dr. D. Let's take the next from is
European shisha, cocaine.
ready now?
Become a user, a dealer, and a gangster.
I saw other users drowning. I knew I didn't...
Okay, if David is not
trapped.
My family disowned me.
My employment
ready, let's
I sold my car, sold my house.
Yeah, are you ready?
Dressed and returned shoeless, shirtless in exchange.
I guess
for
you
drugs.
guys are having problem. Okay, let's take Lesu Lemon. Lesu Lemon, can you unmute yourself and let's hear from you?
I started therapy.
I spent 3 months.
Yeah, hello, sir.
I spent 8 months.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, go ahead. Please go ahead. Yeah, we can hear you.
I just want to ask, ask you because it's been blowing my mind all this while. Because I don't know if the statistics I got about the importation of the weed paper, which is Risla. There's a article that I read, like the quantity of the importation of that paper to Nigeria is more. So that means that people that smoke all this kind of tobacco, weed.
I guess
Hello, doctor. No need to check.
is it my network? I guess we lost him there. But Dr. D, can you make a sense of what he was saying?
I think he's trying to say that he came across some statistics that show that there's a huge importation of Rizla paper. That's the paper used in rolling cannabis. So I think what I can make sense of is he's trying to say if it's imported in that large quantity, does that mean that a lot of people are smoking cannabis? I think.
Okay.
What I can say is Rizla paper is not used only for cannabis, it's also used for loose tobacco. So it will not be wise to say because there's a large importation of Rizla papers is directly proportional to use, for cannabis. We know that yes, cannabis is one of the most commonly smoked psychoactive substances, but because it's also used, for smoking tobacco, we can't say, what percentage is used for tobacco and what percentage is used for cannabis. Because again, if as much as you have people smoking cannabis, you probably have a large number of people who smoke tobacco because tobacco is socially accepted and is not illegal, isn't it? And again, I don't know if he means importation into Nigeria or all over the world. But that's what I can say about the Rizla paper.
All right, thank you, Dr. D. I guess that should have addressed his concern. Okay, let's take this one from Tina. Tina is asking us for our DM now. Tina is asking, does Colorado possess any therapeutic value given the rate at which young Nigerians are abusing it? Okay, I think that's a straightforward one.
Colorado has no therapeutic value. The major constituents are Schedule 1 drugs that we mentioned, and Schedule 1 drugs classically don't have any therapeutic benefit. So they're actually mainly for research purposes. So Colorado doesn't have any therapeutic value.
Alright, that's a clear, straight and direct answer there. Okay, Moni is asking what are there comparisons for Colorado's effects on the soil? In essence, does it have effects on the soil? I don't know if you get that, Dr. D. Does that say anything?
So I wouldn't even know if it has any effect on the soil. I've come across any study that has tested any of the chemicals, on the soil. So considering, our discourse here is about how it affects the human beings, not because of the way it's used. But again, there might be some of the chemicals that if you point on the soil, depending on the duration, will have effect on the soil. So it's like saying, the fertilizers we use on our farms, do they have effects on the soil? Because of course, that's the primary way they're being used, that's the fertilizer. But to equate something that humans ingest to effect on the soil, I'm not sure what the person asking that question really wants to achieve. But I wouldn't know if it has any effect on the soil. I don't know if this is
okay. I'm sure, because that's why it's I was stunned by that question as well. Okay, but let's quickly take this one again. This is from Sini. Is there any medication for someone who is suffering from taking too much of Colorado? Over to you.
Okay, yeah, so depending on the presentation. So for every presentation, there's a medication to take care of it. So if the person is vomiting, you can take care of vomiting. If someone is having stooling, you can take care of the loose stools. If someone is having seizures, there are medications for seizures. But ultimately, rather than treating the symptoms individually, the first of treatment is to remove the underlying cause, isn't it? So why would you want to treat, let's say, seizures and then have the person go take it again to have seizure? So the best thing is to treat the dependent. If it's a one-off use, of course, you get the person stabilized and find out, if there's an addictive component to the person's illness. If the person has a very long time, then the person needs to go through a detox program and possibly rehabilitation.
You look good for your health.
Thank you.
All right, said there. Thank you, Dr. D. Okay, I also have another one here. I think this one is from our Facebook page. Does Colorado share any similarity with Arizona, a popular psychoactive substance?
Let's join hands with NDLE.
Okay, Dr. D, would you want me to take like 2 or 3 monsters together so that you can answer them on the street?
Yeah, I have a pen and paper.
Okay.
So if you have 2
Okay, so that have you noted? I take 2 months.
Yes, I've noted the one for Arizona.
Oh, okay, that's medication has been addressed. Then this one is from. Can you please enlighten us more on the harmful effects of using this substance, Colos or Colorado? That is Obi. Obi is also asking, what is the duration of treatment for someone suffering from the abuse of Colos? Okay, I think you can take the 3 together.
Yeah, what's the last one? I missed the last one. So what's the what? The last question.
The last question is, what's the duration of treatment for someone suffering from the abuse of this substance, Colos?
Okay. So thank you very much. So in terms of Arizona, I will start from that one, right? So Arizona is a brand of cannabis, that is legal for recreational use in places like Arizona in the US. So the Arizona, which popularly called AZ, is naturally occurring, form of cannabis. So it's pretty far from Colo. I hope that has answered that. So the second question talked about to further educate people on the effects, right? On the health effects of Colorado. Yeah. So the health effects of Colorado range from nausea, vomiting, cramps, to hallucinations. Hallucinations is people having a sensory perception in the absence of a stimulus. So that means your senses, any of your 5 senses, is sensing something that is not there. So if it is auditory hallucinations, you're hearing things that are not where nobody is speaking. If it is tactile hallucinations, you're feeling something on your skin, whereas nothing is touching you. If it is visual, you're seeing things that are not there. So that's what hallucinations are, to things like seizures, that's convulsions, right? To even death. Some of the other effects are on the cardiovascular system, such as very increased heart rate or very reduced heart rate. So depending on how it affects the individual. So these are some of the health effects, of Colorado. I don't know if this, if the writer,
definitely that should surface. Yes. That should surface. I think there's one more. The
duration of treatment. The duration of treatment, right, for someone who is using Colorado. So it depends. So first of all, it starts from an assessment, because if 2 patients come to me, the 2 patients might have used cannabis for different durations, first of all, and even if they've used for different durations, how it affects them may be different. So it's not a one-size-fits-all. So there has to be an assessment, and depending on how the person presents. So if there's an acute intoxication, that means the person is convulsing, or the person has a cardiovascular affection at that moment, that has to be taken care of first. And it may be a one-off. So duration of treatment for that person who has used for the first and only time will be different from someone who has been using for months. So the person who has been using for months, if we establish that there's addiction, then the person has to go through the detoxification phase and the full rehabilitation phase. And that will range, from 3 to 6 months. As an inpatient, the treatment for addiction, spans for up to 2 years. First phase, inpatient, and then follow up as an outpatient. So that's, so there's no one size, a duration for treatment of someone who's on Colos. It depends on the presentation.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. D. Let me check with Dr. Dokun Adedeji, who is supposed to be, that's a senior member of this platform and a very senior medical doctor for that matter, who has also been running one of Nigeria's leading rehab centers in southwest part of Nigeria. Let me cross-check if he's in a good place to make his contribution. Now, if not, I'll go to other people, then I'll still come back to him. Dr. Doku, can you hear us? Are you in a good place?
I'm in traffic. I'm not sure whether it's in a good place. I think it's better for me to keep listening, but are you hearing me?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, but I hope there's no intrusion of any other noise into the microphone.
No, okay. That's why I said louder.
Okay. I must say that there's anything else to add to what the previous speaker was talking about. But one thing I just want to highlight, coming from the questions that I've been listening to, is that young people are asking questions in a manner to justify their use. We need to be very careful, and that's why I like the way the doctor said, this is not something to use or to attempt to use or to continue to use. Because the devastating effect, as she has said, it is. Two people can be using the same substance, the effect on each of them will be different, not even in terms of duration, but in terms of affectation. Some people will use it once and then they go into an acute episode. There are some people who use it for months before they even begin to have any effect. And I think what we need to impress our young people on is anything that does not come to you naturally, you need to use anything to augment or enhance performance in any form. All these things, the fact that they are synthetic, and also I'm sure I mentioned that yes, it's cannabis, but the cannabis content of all this Colorado Arizona is not like the normal cannabis sativa. Some of them have now been combined with chemicals and herbs, and those are the some, and then you can get examples. Some of them die from the process, some of them go psychotic, and that's why she said something about. So I think our people should need to be educated that all these things may be fanciful. They may sound zany and all the rest, but these are not things that young people should indulge in, no matter for whatever reason, because the consequences far outweighs the advantage they think they have. The advantage they have is not perception. Oh, it gets me high, let's me do that. Just mere perception, because anything that is not uniformly felt across all the users cannot be considered beneficial. I think those are just the things I want to add as I continue to listen, and I think the doctor has done a very good job of educating us, which I think this is what the platform is all about. And I want to beg our young people, this is not to be adventurous. They must know, they can say, oh, in America they use it, but the services, the medical services that takes care is far advanced than what we have here. And they should also consider the social effects of stigma and discrimination, which does not really, those two things really exist abroad. So that is just what I want to add. Thank you, Femi, for letting me speak.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dokun Adedeje. Dr. Dokun Adedeje. Thank you very much, Doc. We hope we'll continue to have you like this. Okay, let's quickly go to, I'm sure that's well taken, so that we won't put you down with that. There's, if you have to say something to what Dr. Dokun has said, I'm sure you can always say that when you are responding to the next question. But at the moment, again, attention has been drawn to another one from our GM. Okay, I'll shortly come to you as well as Perpetua and Aline Malan Dimari. I'll come to all of you very soon. But let's me take this week. I think people in our DM, they seem to be getting my attention. So let me quickly take this one from Oji Felix. Oji Felix is asking, thanks. Okay, appreciating you first by saying, Dr. D, my question is this. Having established the colos works on the cannabinoid receptors, does the composition of colos involve cannabis as its primary component? Okay. I think this question is also tending towards what Dr. Dokun just discussed. Okay, over to you, Dr. D.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, so you just answered it. So it doesn't contain cannabis. So we need to be very careful. So it's possible that some this plant and then mix it with other constituents and also call it Colorado. So like we said, Colorado has many faces. But originally, Colorado as its primary component does not contain cannabis sativa. Cannabis sativa is the naturally occurring plant. So it's a synthetic form, is a synthetic compound made up of a lot of chemicals, to simulate the effect that cannabis sativa, gives to the brain. So that's the response to that.
All right, thank you, Dr. Dean there. Okay, let's go to asthma. Asthma, I guess I'm thinking as regular as asthma is, this almost the first time asthma will be asking for the mic, so I will be glad to grant her the mic. Asthma, okay, unmute yourself. Let's hear from you, your question, your contribution, quickly.
Okay, thank you so much. Good evening, Dr. Babafemi, and good evening. We were actually made to understand that the first approach to someone who has taken Colorado is to probably pour very cold water on the person. How true is this, please?
All right, thank you, Asma. Over to you, Dr. D. We see more of that anyway. You see all the young people falling into the gutter, all of this. You see people pouring water on them. So actually, I think that's a very valid question. What's the effect of this water they are pouring on them? Go ahead, Doctor.
Yeah, so exactly. So I always ask that question. I feel it's a cultural thing or it's a societal thing because the person seems frozen. Okay, so the person seems like he's in a trance-like state. And our first reflex is to want to pour water on them just so that they react to the shock of the water. A lot of times in the videos that go around, we see that despite the water you're pouring on them, they barely react to the fact that you're pouring water on them. So colors apart, you find someone who is drunk and is throwing up after imbibing in a lot of alcohol, and people still pour water on them. So I think it's a cultural thing because we need to be seen to be doing something. So imagine someone is having increased heart rate and you pour water on them. How does that reverse the heart rate? Someone is having reduced heart rate. You're pouring water on them. How does that change? Someone is in a trance-like situation. You're pouring water. Someone is hearing voices that are not there. You're pouring water. So the people present in different ways. And for all of them, we pour water. So I don't see a scientific basis to that. I just think it's a sort of cultural first aid that we feel we're doing to help people, just to shock them out of their trance-like state. So I think the first thing to do, first of all, if someone is barely responsive, is to do the vitals. Medically, the ABC of resuscitation still remains. Ensure that the person's airways are clear, ensure that the person is breathing, ensure that the circulation is intact, that means the person's pulse rate is intact, and call for an ambulance or get them in a car to a hospital. That still remains the life-saving, acts for any physical health condition. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much there, Dr. D. You can see Asma giving you thumbs up, meaning she's well satisfied with your response. Okay, let's take another one before we go to how many do I give? Okay, let me come to Aliyu Uma. Aliyu Uma, please go ahead. Let's get your question or your contribution. Aliyu Uma, if you are not ready, I'll go to. Okay, I have some the people on our DM. Okay, Dr. D. I have so many questions. Dr. D, okay, let me list some of these questions to you for you so that you can take them. Like I have 10 questions here from Twitter and Facebook, but let me take them. Okay, are there any specific reasons why Colos has gained popularity recently? That is one, Dr. D. Then let me the other one. What are the potential dangers or risks associated with using colors? I'm sure she's highlighted this already. Another one is how does the use of colors impact individuals' health and well-being? This is almost the same question also. Are there signs or symptoms that might indicate someone is using or has used colors? Okay, can you, the host, elaborate on the legal line? Okay. How can parents, educators, and community members help prevent the spread of colors among young people? Okay, Dr. D, just respond to all of this together. I just have to skip some that I believe you had answered already.
Okay, thank you very much. So specific reasons why it has gained popularity. So the age of experimentation, substance use has become something that is almost in a pandemic proportion or epidemic proportion, around us. So a lot of people want to experiment. There's the fact that, it's all over, it's in our faces. We see it's being glamorized, by the media. It's being talked about. There's the peer pressure. There's the need to wanting to, show that you have arrived. So a lot of things. I want to be bold. I want to be able to talk to this person without fear. So I need something to enhance. Just like Dr. Doku mentioned, what does not come to you naturally, do not use something to want to enhance it. Try to work on it with a more natural way. So, for example, I'm shy. Can I go learn, public speaking? Why do I want to use something that will make me bold overnight to be able to speak? So those are part of the reasons why it has gained popularity, and it's not specific to colors. So it's possible that colors is gaining popularity faster than many other psychoactive substances because it's cheaper and is more readily available. The psychoactive substances all over are more popular now than they were many years ago. So it's a big issue. That's why it's a topical issue, and that's why we're having this conversation. The next question, talking about potential dangers of colors and how it impacts health. I think we've talked about it like 3 times in the course of this conversation. It can, potential dangers, it can kill. That is what it is. Someone might take colors for the first time today, have a seizure and die. So I think that's the best way to just talk about the potential danger. How does it impact health? It's the same thing. It can affect the heart, it can affect the brain, most importantly seizures, it can lead to psychosis. Someone might use colors for the first time and end up, in a psychiatric, with a psychiatric illness and may never come out of it. Someone might use it, have a psychotic episode, get treated, and may get out of it. Another person might never get out of it. So those are ways it impacts the health. Signs and symptoms are the things we're talking about. Seizures, complaining of pain, bizarre behavior, because gone are the days where someone presents to the hospital behaving irrationally and we just limit it to, maybe the person has high fever. Today when we see people behaving oddly, we almost always have to rule out intoxication from a substance of abuse. So those are some of the signs and symptoms, all right? How can parents educate their loved ones, their children? How can the community contribute? This is one of the ways the community can contribute. NDLA is doing its own bit. You and I have a role to play. If we suspect that someone's behavior has changed, we should have it at the back of our mind that substance use does not just start, addiction does not start overnight. It starts, there's a ladder, there's experimental, then it moves to circumstantial, then occasional, then it becomes habitual, before the person becomes, addicted. So we need to stop shying away, we need to stop executing the ostrich approach, where we know that we're burying our heads, in the sand, whereas the backside is out. It is a, tetra-headed monster. Addiction is real. If we suspect that someone's behavior is odd and we're suspecting, we should normalize these conversations. Parents should feel able to say, my young child, I'll take my teenager, to go have a toxicology. I mean, if you're suspecting has changed and you're thinking, she may she may be pregnant. You take her to a hospital for a pregnancy test. So why won't we be able to do that? For substance use, is a 5 minute test. You just take urine and then you get the person tested. So those are part of the things we should be able to do. We should normalize conversations with our loved ones, with the little ones, to deter them, to let them know that some of these things may come in subtly. It may just be an innocent, for lack of a better word, an innocent drink. A friend, what you're not sure of, do not try it. I think these are just ways that we can go to the lives of the future generation. Thank you, Mr. Balaton.
Well, Dr. Let's take the next contribution I have from our dear, but let's take this contribution from Hima at Hima Odu. Please unmute yourself and let's hear your contribution.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I think this is my topic about Colorado, and the previous speakers. The contribution is, even for me, because why who just want to get high and they don't other side of it. I live in the United Kingdom, and the so-called balloon gas the young kids do take to get high. Literally now they want to ban it because a lot of young kids have been in the hospital due to that drugs, and I just think I want to do what my friend is doing, but everybody's body system is different, like the doctor said, But for me, I think probably the parents of every child, still have a lot of work to do. Even those who are older need to encourage the young kids, the young ones to not to just go into drugs, because it could damage a lot. As in, it is. I wouldn't say Nigeria doesn't have the best healthcare, but probably if there's more funding in our healthcare system. So for me, the only advice I could just give to anyone, just stop it, because you don't know what's going to happen next. You might run mad. You might just not be yourself anymore. Even when drinking alcohol at times, sometimes even me drinking alcohol, when I know my gauge, I just literally stop and I switch over to water, not to just drink all because one of my friends is drinking, and the next thing you start falling on the road, people making jest of you. It literally don't make sense. So for me, I just believe that the NDLA still have a lot of work to do, and those who are even selling those drugs, and aside from them as well, it still falls down to the parent, falls down to the person himself. Like, am I doing the right thing? So that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much, Imad out there in the UK. Thanks for your brilliant contribution. Dr. Would you want to say something he has said or his contribution?
No, I think.
Or we move on?
Yeah, that's fine. I think we can move on. What he said is apps. It's quite apt, So, there are a lot of stakeholders in this. Also, all of us as individuals, our loved ones, the community, the civil society organizations, the government, we all have a role to play. So the question is to ask, what are we doing, to break this? So thank you for that contribution. We can move
absolutely, as we often say, is our own space. So let's make use of that sphere of influence to impact on the lives of our friends, our family members, and those within our community positively. Let them know the dangers, the effect of abusing illicit or even experimenting with them in any way Okay, let's quickly go to Mohammed Bafo. Mohammed Bafo, please quickly unmute yourself and let's the time is wrong. We have barely 30 minutes left. Yes, go ahead, Mohammed. Please go ahead.
No, good evening. My contribution will go like this. I don't know, most of us were familiar with some players. Like we young guys of this, we do follow football. I don't know, maybe some of us they call him Dele Ali. You could believe that that guy has been going through a lot, right from his childhood, like from eight years, I think. He has been carrying along his depression, what he went through. So he did take all these drugs. And some of his fans, they do follow him, see him, they thought that what he was doing was good. But let me say, last 2 weeks, he came out and be able to publicize or say it out that okay, this is what he has been going through, that this is not the way. So if most of our entertainers, like our musician industry, music, and they can come out and be able to do what Dele Ali do. I know most of those people that follow them, because some of these guys, they started all these things from there. They're watching them, they think that what they're doing is good. But if some of these people they can be able to come out and say, okay, this thing that they're doing is not good and this is no way forward, I think that one will help a lot. And I don't know whether we noticed what happened, like let's say last month, one of our actors in Nigeria here, they banned me because of this addiction. So if I don't know whether I need to have that kind of organization.
Excuse me. I think Mohammed is having a network in there, but I think his point is more of a contribution than a question. I quite understand that if you did maybe okay. Mohammed, your network is not so good from DM before I come back to this call. Now, this one is from Ali. Ali is saying, Doctor, for your elucidating presentation, your profile indicates in sleep medicine also. Can you relate sleep challenges to substance abuse, especially opioids? Because these days, quite a number of people go into substance abuse because they cannot get to sleep, and so they need something to calm their nerves and sleep. Can you please tell us something about this? All right, that's I think since that's another of your field, Dr. D, please over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, so sleep and substance use have a very interesting relationship. As a matter of fact, sleep has an interesting relationship with a lot of other conditions, from physical health to mental health to addiction. So, like the writer rightly said, a lot of people, actually resort to use of some drugs to help them calm their nerves or sleep. So in sleep, we actually say the very first treatment of insomnia, chronic insomnia in the first place, is not medication. So first of all, acute insomnia, chronic insomnia is difficulty to initiate or maintain sleep. I just want to put that out there. So if it is something that is short-lived, maybe because you've been busy, or you've been on night shift and all, the truth of the matter is you don't need medication, because the commonest cause of not sleeping is the body not being tired enough. So if it is a circumstance that is stopping you from sleeping, once you remove that circumstance, the teaching is you will sleep. So if it is acute, you shut down, you sleep. So the reason why people resort to drugs or medication is because they have been struggling to sleep for a very long time. That's the chronic insomnia. And the very first thing we tell them to do is to, see a sleep therapist. So there's something called the cognitive behavior therapy for insomnia. And it is a behavioral change and not medication. First line treatment for difficulty with sleep is therapy and not medication. And when I was answering one of the questions before, I talked about the ladder of addiction. It usually starts from circumstantial use. So it's a circumstance that makes us start to use that substance. And then it now becomes occasional. So first of all, I'm struggling to sleep, and then I use this medication. And a lot of times you find out that some of the medications we use are not primarily designed for sleep. So for example, someone will tell you, if I just want to calm my nerves and sleep, maybe I will use Piriton. Piriton is not a sleeping pill. The sleepiness that comes with that is a side effect of that medication. And people enhance, they capitalize on that side effect to help them sleep. Then after a while, it becomes occasional. Oh, I've been busy throughout the week. At the weekend, I will just take this medication just to shut down. So we keep trying to justify the use of the drug. After a while, we're forgetting that the brain is getting used to it. To the extent that if the brain now doesn't get that little support, for lack of a better word, it is now not able to do what it normally would have done naturally. Then it becomes habitual. Oh, every weekend, I will take this because it's the weekend anyway. I need to sleep in preparation for the coming week. Then after a while, it now becomes something that we can't do without, and then it has tilted, towards addiction proportions. So that's the relationship between sleep and, and substance use. If you're having difficulty sleeping, please see a doctor. And we keep talking even to colleagues. We shouldn't be very trigger happy. We shouldn't be very quick to prescribing sleep pills because someone, I've not slept for this period. Just take this medication. Just take this medication. Sometimes it's just behavior change we may need. I'm sure a lot of us have heard of sleep hygiene. Things like having the same routine, sleeping and waking up, trying to declutter, reserving the bedroom for just sleep, rather than using it to eat, to watch TV, to read, to work on our laptop. Little habits like that are the things that start to affect our sleep over time. So please, use of medication for sleep shouldn't be the first response to difficulty sleeping. Thank you.
All right, awesome explanation there from Dr. D. Okay, before I come to Perpetua because the time is just flying, not even running again. Let's come to Augustine Emeka. Augustine Emeka, if you can hear me, please unmute yourself and let's quickly take your contribution or question. Augustine Emeka. Otherwise, okay. Afternoon, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a young Nigerian, and I want to say this is my first time joining this space. I'm given an opportunity to speak anyways. I have seen these drugs being abused in my communities, and one thing I have observed is that we keep talking about trying to reduce drug abuse, but there is no alternative, either in skill or let's say an alternative activity that is being projected to these youths out there as a better option than going to drugs. There are some countries I have researched on. One of the ways they've been able to tackle drugs and its abuses is by creating sports teams within local communities. So thereby these children, which youth who are usually the targets of these drugs, thereby invest more time in sports or skill acquisition, which they not have much time for drugs, as this case may be. So I think, to contribution, that projecting an alternative and is where we can tackle this issue of drug abuse and its menace. Once again, I would say I've gained a lot from Dr. D. I joined the space while she was speaking, and there are very notable points she made. I really want to say I appreciate her and NDLA for this space. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Emeka. Augustine Emeka there. Dr. D, would you want to say something to what to the point he has raised?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Emeka. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you for speaking out on behalf of the young people. So yes, I hear you, but I also want to say that when we say there should be sporting activities for this youth. The truth of the matter is, it's one thing to say who is we. You and I also have a role to play. So if the youth, it comes to, I think the fundamental thing here is awareness, which starts from the home front. If we all play our bit, then there won't be anyone we're expecting to bring a solution. So for example, I say, oh, there's Dr. D in this community, there's Emeka in this community, there is Mr. Babafemi in this community, and we are the youth in this community. And we say today that we are the ones in our age group, for example, that is being ravaged the most by the use of substances. So what can we do? Can the three of us sit down and say, okay, let's start by organizing a local football team in our community? And I speak to my friends, Emeka speaks to his friends, Mr. Babafemi speaks to his friends, and every Saturday we meet to play football. We're the ones that are engaging ourselves. And we take ownership for that activity, as opposed to waiting for an organization or the government to say, oh, we have organized this sports club. It still comes from a lot of willingness and seeing the importance of it for us to engage in that activity. So we just need a mindset shift, a cultural shift of expecting to be spoon-fed, for something that will benefit us primarily. So the change starts with me, it starts with you, it starts with all of us to say, see, this is a monster that is killing us. If today I decide to take Colorado, it's not going to affect Emeka's health, it's not going to affect Mr. Babafemi's health, it's going to affect my health. So if I know that and I make a decision today, I make a pledge, that there's nothing that's going to make me, in the midst of all the difficulty that is going on, I want to add to the stress of becoming a nuisance to myself, my family, and the society at large. I now make a pledge that I'm not going to add to that, problem, because I need to be healthy and need to be alive to be able to face the challenges and achieve my potentials. Emeka makes the same pledge. Mr. Babafemi makes the same pledge. Grace makes the same pledge, like that. And then we now decide what's the next thing. So I think that's how we need to look at it and say, because it's becoming a trend, oh, I'm using drugs because I have nothing to do. How is using drugs something to do? Because it's not an occupation. It's something that just takes away the productive part of your life. So we need to be able to say, what can I do for myself? If us as individuals all make a change, then the society as a whole will have changed. Because no one has the power to change another person. We have the power to change ourselves. And if every individual has changed or has made a pledge to change, then there's no other person that we're worried about changing. Everyone will have changed. So that's just what I wanted to add to that. Yes, the government has its part to play. We as individuals, most importantly, have a part to play, because we are the government, we are the people, we are the people who make up the society. So if we point fingers at the society, society is not living and breathing. The people in the society are the society. We're the ones that need to change for the society to change. So thank you, Emeka. Thank you, Mr. Babafemi.
Awesome one. I actually say I have nothing else to add. I was actually trying to speak to that before, but I'm glad Dr. D did an excellent job to further provide some facts that would, that I'm sure Augustine Emeka will go in addition to what he's gotten on this platform today, as well as others who may also have the same idea or perception about this whole problem. Okay, quickly, because I don't want Perpetua to accuse me of reneging on my promise. Perpetua, I think it's a time now to give you the opportunity to make the contribution you had actually proposed to make before we wind down the program. Okay, Perpetua, please go ahead.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for this opportunity again. Thank you, Dr. D, for the word. I have gotten a lot of intervention programs and all that. But what I wanted to contribute earlier on is that given the serious health risk and devastating effects of synthetic cannabis, it is crucial to raise awareness among young people about the dangers associated with its use, and also to educate them more. And prevention programs have to be put in place. And I heard what she said, that if I do my part and you do your part, and collectively there must be an overflow. And supportive as a services like health education to them. If the health sector, the education sector will do their own part, like starting from the scratch. That when I enroll a child in school, they start teaching the child that you don't have to venture into drugs that too much. Even our prescribed of the medications, if you take it more than prescribed, it will become an abusive substance. And also essentials in combating the use and spread of these harmful substances. I know that it just is a big one to even eradicate it, for us to have a zero drug abuse in Nigeria, in our society, even in the world. It's just as something that we work out every day. And I know that when we do our own part positively, this nation will move forward. This nation will have a positive impact. This nation, you will not be looking at the people on top. You're not looking at the health personnel to do the work. Me, I have a role to play. So when we look at it like that, we know that we can make a small water can become an ocean tomorrow. Thank you so much for the opportunity once again.
All right, thank you very well, Perpetua, for the contribution. You had two opportunities today. One to ask question first, and now you are almost going to be the last person that would. Okay, I think if I don't give this person the microphone, I'm not sure I'll be able to go to bed in peace today. So I've just seen Dr. Kemi Lawyer coming in. She's obviously not. I know, but because you don't just wait first now. I've not even invited you. I've unmuted you. You see the fire in you. I'm just trying to drag you first to say that because you abandoned us in Nigeria. You are enjoying the cold weather in the US, so you don't even know where we start. You don't even know where we start the space again. The time difference, so all of that is really making you come late to the platform. Anyway, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because I saw what you see. I know. 60th is not an easy one. I know. Yeah. We celebrate you by the grace of God. Please go ahead before we.
I don't have much to say. I don't have much to say. I was actually listening on my son's account, but all I just want to say, one thing is that if there's any way that young people in Nigeria stop making drug jokes, I've said it from day one. People that say Kemi Olunloyo is a drug addict because they don't like her work. Stop saying that Uncolos. It's getting out of hand. I hate it. There are people who have used Colorado and they are dying or they're even dead, or it has ruined them by causing irreversible brain damage. Stop making drug jokes. Uncolos is not appropriate. Stop using those things. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you. The birthday woman, Dr. Kemi Olunloyo, will be 60 in a matter of days, so we'll be glad to celebrate you, and we'll pray God will continue to spare you.
On Sunday, August 6th.
Yeah, I know. You know, I know that. Okay, quickly before I've seen A.A. Jaruman, can you quickly, we have barely 12 minutes. A.A. Jaruman, can you unmute yourself and let's hear from you before we close the space while Dr. D prepares for her closing remarks? Please go ahead, Jaruman. If you are not settled, okay, let me give the opportunity to Ali Malad Dimari. Ali, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, all. Actually, Dr. D, we are very grateful for piece of advices and everything. Actually, I wanted talking, but particular says a lot about what coming together is in the society. Is not only government that will just or the agency that will just at least grassroots. You know, this grassroots initiative that actually in our society that we have done, and it has yielded a very good result. The initiative is we use all the small these people and take harmful substance. We know them in the society, so we use them. You know, discrimination actually will just it hasn't helped a lot. Without the discrimination and put an initiative, a small initiative that we have done is we have someone that is not well in the society, and these guys, the guys that used to take harmful substance, they know all the people in the society. They know the business people, and they know the big men and the small men, all of them. So what we have done is we just give them a tax to go and tax each and every individual in the society for small amount of money, so that we can gather and take it to the hospital for these less privileged to enjoy. So we kickstart the project. Actually, in not more than 1 week, we really had almost 500,000. So inside this, what we have done is we removed almost 150,000 and gave these boys to rehabilitate themselves. We just give them. There's one Bulama in the one community leader that used to give this advice. He sit down with them. What do you want? This say he want to buy this, buy that, start small business initiative. I know if we can initiate all these things, I know one thing. Thank you very much, and I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Ali Maladimari. Thank you for your contribution there. I will go straight to, let me take probably the last one from Michael Paddy. Michael Paddy, please unmute yourself quickly and let's hear from you. Michael Paddy, you were struggling for the mic since Mike Paddy. Okay, if Michael is not ready, let me come back to A.A. Jarume. A.A. Jarume, please quickly unmute yourself. We have barely 10 minutes left. A.A. Jarume, if you are not ready, then I'll go for the closing session of the conversation. Okay, very well. Thank you, guys. I think that's about what we can take. Let's come back to Dr. D for her closing remarks on this edition of. Okay, I think just a moment, Dr. D. I think before we invite you for closing remarks, let me quickly again remind us about the NDLA's call center. Which came on the stream, which was launched last year, paying for the provision of psychosocial support to individuals and families of those who are struggling with substance abuse. Again, like I said initially at the start of this program, that at the center we have a team of licensed and credible clinical psychologists, counselors, psychiatric doctors, support workers, and mental health experts who provide support in aiding recovery, managing social and emotional problems, and doing quite a lot to support those who are struggling with substance abuse and their families. Like I said again, The number to call at the health center, it's a toll-free helpline, and that is 0800 10203040. I repeat again, 0800 10203040. That's the number to call. Again, I would like to repeat that the service that's at the center, the service there is language sensitive and friendly, so we can provide support for you and language of your choice, whether in English, Pidgin, Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo. We do all of this. And again, before I pass the mic to Dr. D to make our closing remarks, I'd like to remind us that at the center, you can rest assured that we will not judge you. Nobody there, nobody attending to you will judge you, and they will absolutely protect your information. This is a professional entity. Your information, there is no cause to fear being judged or being stigmatized. That's about our call center there today. And now I'd like to invite Dr. D to please go ahead and let's get her closing remarks on today's conversation. Thank you, Dr. D. Over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Bawakani. So I think all I will say to wrap up is to say that the topic of our discussion today is the allure of Colorado and its devastating effect. I would just like to emphasize that despite what it says, the allure, there is nothing alluring about Colorado or any psychoactive substance, for that matter. When they say it's like quicksand, it may look attractive. Whatever you're told or whatever we hear that, Colorado does for us is actually, it goes away in the blink of an eye. So the devastating effects are more enduring. Like, it is not worth it at all. There is nothing worth experimenting about Colorado. Whatever it is, one is looking to get from that Colorado effect. The person is unlikely going to get it because it ravages someone's life ultimately. So we all have, secondly, I like to say we all have a role to play, to protect ourselves from the use of these substances, to protect the next generation, to protect our neighbors, to protect our loved ones, to protect our colleagues. We all have the duty or the sense of responsibility to spread the word. We come here, we've had the conversations, let's pass on, let's continue the conversations. And like Dr. Kenny said, there is nothing funny about making drug jokes. There is nothing, interesting. There's no hype in it, to say, oh, okay, I'm high on this. There's nothing attractive about it. So we should make it as part of our culture, part of our behavior. There's actually everything tush, there's everything posh about not being on drugs. I believe it's more exciting, it's more attractive to know that whatever it is you're doing, you're doing it yourself. There's nothing enhancing it. If it is sports, if you win a gold medal today, and tomorrow they find out that you use sport enhancing drugs, they're going to strip you of that medal. So where's the excitement? Where's the joy? Even if you're not stripped of that medal, you know that you didn't do it. So we need to keep asking ourselves these questions. We need to keep spending time with ourselves, reflecting and asking ourselves, what am I aiming to achieve with this? And I always say, anything you need to hide to do is not worth it. Because very few people are going to come outside the cycle of people who use this and use it in public and proudly say, yes, this is what it is, I'm doing. So please, we should just take this home to say there is nothing, to remember that there is nothing alluring about Colorado or any psychoactive substance, and there's everything devastating about it. Thank you very much for having me on this space. Thank you, Mr. Babafemi. Thank you, NDLE. Thank you to all our listeners. God bless you all.
Awesome, Dr. Dayaba Sheabu, who is a mental health physician, an internationally certified addiction professional and sleep specialist. She has proven that today excellently well. I can also say that Dr. Sheabu provides services at the NDLA call center. In addition, she is a member of the American Academy of Sleep Medicine and the British Sleep Society. Dr. Dayaba, she's popularly called Dr. D, as I have adopted on this program today, is a well-motivated mental health advocate with interest in human behavior, addiction, psychiatry, sleep medicine, wellness, and lifestyle. She strives to normalize conversations around mental health with a view to seeing that her patients become the best version of themselves. And as quite a number of us, those who spoke today, as you have attested, I think she has indeed given a good account of herself and her professional calling. Thank you very much once again, Dr. Dayaba Shuaibu, our own Dr. D. God bless you. I know you are out of the country, and we pray that God continue to keep you. Thank you for finding the time to be part of the conversation today. This goes on record, is recorded, and it's going to be shared and listened for generations to come. I mean, that goes a long way to benefit quite a number of people. And thank you for all those joining us from across the world, the US, Europe, Asia, Canada, Africa, and across the cities and communities in Nigeria. I'd like to single out quite a number of our people. Thank you, Papesha Anamdi Emmanuel, Deji Adesogbon, popularly called Uncle Deji. Thank you, our own John Ogunjimi, TJ Atonga Wadi, Pamela Ephraim, Iherua Miracle Ebube, Dr. Akinwale Ola Akinlade, our own officer, that is the zonal commander there, Para Bawa, our Abiola Burema, Asma Ahmad in Kaduna there, Sati Nima, David Haruna, Dr. Forever Okori Obi, our own Ken Patriots, Lesu Lemon, also OJ, that's at John Oluwole Ade. Thank you, Hima, joining us from the UK. Thank you, Mohammed Bafo. Thank you, Augustine Emeka. Thank you, Ali Mala Dimari, for your contribution in your own little space, in your own corner there. Thank you once again, Ali Mala Dimari. Thank you for your personal efforts and your group. Thank you, Michael Paddy. Thank you, City Boy at City Omogbola. Thank you, all of you, for being part of this. I can't mention everybody, but just a few. But we appreciate all of you, because if I have to mention all of the people that I'm seeing here, I don't have the means to see those on Facebook and on YouTube. But then for all those I'm seeing here, we appreciate all of you for being part of this conversation. Thank you. Lest I forget Dr. Kemi Oluloyo, who is even no matter how. These days, since she relocated, or temporary relocation, I believe, to the US, while she was in Nigeria, we start and end this program together. But since she went into another sphere, where because of the time difference, she comes late these days. I know she joins. I'm just trying to drag her. She knows how we do it. Thank you, everybody, especially Dr. Dokun Adedeji, who also joined us while in Lagos traffic. We appreciate you. I must also acknowledge my colleagues who have been working behind the scenes, supporting me here. Thank you, Shidi. Thank you, Musa Francis, Mahmoud, Dele, Phil, Lex, Blessing, Vina, Kumbi, Charity, Ima, Ali, John, and all the rest of you guys. We appreciate you. Thank you for the job you are doing. God bless you. At this point, I'd like to hand over to Mahmoud to close the show at the other hand. Thank you, and do have a wonderful evening and a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, sir. And as you rightly said, this brings us to the end of the program. For more information about the agency, our listeners can visit our website, www.ndlea.gov.ng, and perhaps our social media platforms at ndlea_Nigeria, on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook, it is at ndlea01. On Thread, it is also at ndlea_Nigeria. Do join us same time next week for another edition of this wonderful program. And I remain Mahmoud Isa. Goodbye.
body. If you die, you go fly. Oh yeah, help me to somebody. God give me body,
This message is brought to you by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA.
Don't do drugs. Don't do drugs. Don't try it though. He go choke you up. He go steal your sunshine up. He go shock you up. He don't kill him any youth for my area. Even for your area. When you start it to stop, it not go easy. As you they drag and go, he they drag you down. What a come